Greetings, everyone. Welcome to another episode of The Professionals You Should Know. This show is about uncovering the journeys of professionals from different industries. And today, we have the amazing and inspirational Priscilla Booning, who is a primary school teacher. So, what is it that you do?
So I wear a few hats.
Okay.
First and foremost, I am a member of my SLT, Senior Leadership Team, with responsibility for diversity, equity and inclusion. Mm-hmm. I'm also a maths lead. Okay. And I'm currently a Year 6 teacher.
Okay. So you work in a primary school?
I work in a primary school, yes.
Okay,
a 2 formentary primary school.
Pardon?
2 formentary. So 2 formentary just means that, I should explain. So formentary just means how many classes you have within each year group.
Right.
So some schools you can have a 3 formentary, meaning there'll be 3 Year 1 classes, 3 Year 2. Okay. My school's a 2 formentary, so there's only 2 classes for each year group.
Okay. So why a primary school teacher?
That's a very interesting question.
What happened?
Do you know what? I think with primary school, I just love the flexibility that you have. So I love that my morning starts with maths, but it ends with me doing history, music, PE throughout the day. Whereas in secondary school, you tend to stick to one subject, and I just find that so boring.
Okay, so you have to know all the subjects, because I know you said you're a math lead.
Yeah.
Okay.
So even though I'm maths lead, I have a class I'm responsible for.
Right.
I teach that class from the moment they come to my classroom at 8:45 to 3:20. I'm responsible for that sole class.
Right.
And our day typically starts with, like I said, we'll start with reading.
Right.
A bit of maths, writing, and then we switch it up in the afternoon.
Okay, and that could be PE, history,
which is what we classify as our wider curriculum subjects.
Okay.
Yeah, so anything from science right up to PE.
Okay. So how did you become a teacher? What was your journey like?
Do you know, I love telling the story because I think people just don't believe me when I say it. Growing up, I never wanted to be a teacher. I thought that was the worst job I could do.
Okay.
And so I went to uni studying psychology because I had decided to become a therapist.
Okay.
But after my first year, I thought, this is really not for me. But I still wanted to go down the psychology route. Right. And I knew I wanted to work with children. Okay. So I thought, maybe I could be like a educational psychologist.
Okay, yeah, okay.
And then towards the end of my first year, I became a Christian.
Okay.
And I started teaching Sunday school in my church, and I absolutely loved it. Right. I thought, what if I did this on a day-to-day basis? Right. So then I started researching into how to become a primary school teacher.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then how did that transition go from your psychology degree?
Yeah. So when I was in my second year, my uni had what do you call them? Like the people that help you with jobs, look for jobs, Okay. The tutors. And I remember saying to them, look, I really want to become a primary school teacher, but I don't know where to go. I'm studying in psychology. What can I do? The good thing with primary school is you don't need to have one specific uni degree.
Right, okay.
As long as you've got your GCSEs.
Oh, okay.
Especially like a grade C or above in English, maths and science, then it's okay. So I remember the tutor saying to me, do you know what, you need to get experience. Don't get an experience in a primary school as much as you can, so you stand out when you apply for your PGC.
So what's the PGC?
It's I hope I said it right, the postgraduate certificate in education.
Right.
So it's like my training year to become a teacher.
Okay.
So I decided to go down that route because I love learning. So I wanted to learn the theory behind how pupils learn, as well as learn about the national curriculum.
Right. So,
I remember my tutor saying, but don't just get experience in the primary school. You want to stand out from others who are applying for the PGCE. So get experience working with children in all settings. Okay. So then I became do you know what brownies is?
I think I've heard of it. Yeah.
Think of it as like Girl Scouts.
Right. Yeah.
So when I was a child, I went to a brownie. Okay. I was a brownie. So I decided to become a brownie lead.
Okay. Yeah. That's different. Okay.
Very different. Okay. But it was such a lovely experience because I got to see kids outside of the academics. So I did that for about a year, and again, that was just to gain experience. I went to work on a school. got experience in, and funny enough, that is the school that I currently work in. Yeah,
okay.
so I got experience there, and then I applied for my PGCE.
Right.
With that, so you're studying, but you're also getting work placements
Okay.
in schools.
Is it a particular like a period of time that you have to do this clinical or this practice? For example, like you have to do 1,000 hours before becoming a teacher, or is it just?
Good question. PGC is normally for a year.
For a year, 1 year.
Yeah, academically,
okay.
1 year.
Right.
The way my uni done it was you had 2 block placements.
Right.
So your first block placement was just after the October half term, right up to Christmas. So that's half a term in a school year.
Okay.
So think about 6 weeks.
Right.
And then my second placement, that was the longer one, because at this point you're taking on the majority of teaching.
Okay.
That was, I remember working in my second placement from like March right up to July.
Gee, it's a long placement.
Yeah, it was a long placement, but it was amazing.
Okay, and then when you're teaching, do they prepare you for like the subjects that you're doing?
Yeah.
Right. So yes.
Yeah. Again, I think it really varies depending on who your provider is.
Right.
But with my PGC, the way it worked was, so it was split into 3 parts.
Right.
So your 3 parts was you did the pedagogical side of teaching. So that's like the theory behind teaching,
Okay.
the theory behind learning, how pupils learn.
Okay.
Looking at pupils that have SEN needs.
Okay.
Yeah, and your EAL learners as well. So looking at English as additional language, I realise as teachers we use a lot of
abbreviation.
Yeah, but I should really break it down. So
SEN?
SEN, special educational needs and disabilities.
Right, yeah.
So you look at that side of things, and then you also look at the national curriculum, which is split into 2. So look at your core subjects and your wider curriculum subjects.
Right.
But with the way my uni worked was we had a tutor for each individual subject.
Oh, that's okay.
So I had a maths tutor, English tutor, history tutor, and they just talked you through the national curriculum. We did some experiences. We were taught how to plan lessons. How to deliver those lessons. So yeah, you got the theory and the national curriculum, which was really helpful.
Right, yeah, I see. It's quite a holistic way of looking
Absolutely,
at it. So
yeah.
That's great.
And you tend to have those lessons before you go in placement.
Right.
So you can apply what you did.
Yeah.
Then after placement, you come back into uni, evaluate what went well, your next steps for the next placement. Yeah.
So is there like a favourite story that kind of reconfirms that, this is the profession for yourself?
I think I have a few.
This one.
Yeah, I have a few, but I would say my most recent.
Okay.
So as being part of the SLT, so senior leadership team,
Right.
I do a gate duty. So in the morning, I stand at the gate and I welcome the kids as they come to school.
Yeah.
So I was on the gate, it was probably about 4 weeks ago. I was on the gate and I felt very much like, this year is a bit of a drag, but I really hope I could get that spark back.
Right, okay.
I remember all my pupils coming in, I'm saying good morning to each student one by one. And then one of my students I taught 2 years ago came because they were dropping off their younger sibling.
Okay.
And they came straight to me and they said, Miss Priscilla, I really need your words of affirmation right now. So just pupils in year 8. And what's interesting is that when they were in my class in year 6, I used to have on my board a daily quote and we'd share it. So it's so lovely to know that they still use it to this day. And it was just so warm to know that, before they went off to school, they thought that they need to come see me.
Yeah.
So I just shared some affirmations with them. They repeated after me, gave me a big hug and said, thank you so much, you've made my day. And they went off and it was just like, what, teaching is more than just academics. It's just that how you build that relationship with your pupils.
No, I completely agree.
Yeah.
Oh, that's an amazing story.
Thank you.
And who do you feel appreciates or value your services? It could be colleagues, the students themselves, parents.
Yeah.
Who do you feel appreciates you the most? Government?
Definitely not the government. I'm sorry to say, definitely not the government.
Okay.
That's a tough one. I think students.
Okay.
I think at the moment students may not see it,
Right.
but later on in life they will.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's not so much about who sees it then and there, but who sees that lasting change. I with some of my students, you leave school either loving or hating your teacher, and I'd love to be the former of you loving. Yeah, so for my students.
Okay. And is there any misconceptions to the role that you do at the moment?
Plenty of misconceptions. First one that came to my mind: people assuming that we go to work at 9 and we leave at 3 o'clock. Like, I wish I went to school at 9 and left at 3 o'clock. That is the biggest misconception.
Really?
Or that you just teach. Or in primary school, the kids just play. There's not much learning. But actually, you think of it, they're learning the key fundamentals, the foundation. Without that, secondary school teachers can't build on, you know? And there's just so much to do. Yes, I teach, but you've got the time outside of the teaching to plan lessons.
Yeah.
And with me being maths lead, making sure that maths is consistent across the whole school. Yeah, that's maths lead.
Oh yeah, I didn't even think about it. So what would your typical time at school and after school be?
Okay, it definitely varies. On a Monday, typically, I teach, and then I tend to have every other week, I have a meeting after school with other subject leaders. So in my school, we have teachers responsible for different subjects. We come together and we'll look at things that we want to improve within our subject areas. Or like on a Friday, I have time out of class, so I don't teach at all on Fridays.
Right.
And I tend to use the morning to do some work on maths. So it could be me coming around to observe maths lessons. It could be me looking at maths books, looking at maths planning, giving feedback to teachers, uploading resources to prepare teachers for their maths lessons, really.
And you know when students or pupils, they do their, the SAT, their SATs.
Yeah.
Right? Is their grades important to find for their secondary school that they go to, or is it just more for their own individual confidence?
I don't think it helps with confidence.
Okay.
I think, anyway, I could be wrong. But from my experience, what I've noticed is, I think what SATs does is, one, it divides that gap even more between students. Because there are some pupils who are confident and then they will do well.
Right.
But then there are some pupils who realise they don't do as well as their peers.
Right.
And so then that brings down their self-esteem.
Right.
I personally feel like there's no need for SATs.
Okay, so it doesn't get you into a secondary school?
No.
Okay.
Unless you're applying for, I guess, a private school, grammar school. Within the public sector, no, because you know what secondary school you're going to before you sit your SATs.
Okay, and what does that rely on then?
Mostly social things.
Okay.
So if you have siblings that go to the school, I don't know if they still use, when I was going to school, I remember it was about distance. I don't know if that's so much. I guess it depends from borough to borough. Yeah.
Okay.
If it's that's a waste of time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
I do. And I think the government think it because, recently they've put in there's a bank holiday coming up.
Okay.
For when King Charles.
Oh, right.
His coronation. But they've put the bank holiday when it's meant to be SATs week. And I'm thinking, so when you were discussing this in Parliament, none of you thought I should stand up and say that, yes, Sixers are doing SATs across the country. Yeah.
That's interesting.
They just don't care for it. Tradition, so maybe we still keep doing SATs.
So do you feel that in some time to come that would be
scrapped?
Yeah.
I would love for it to be scrapped, but I don't know if that is something that will actually happen.
Okay.
Honestly, I really think it's so stressful. You see in the pupils' face, just that pressure to make sure you teach everything, but there's so much in the curriculum that becomes quite difficult to make sure you teach everything within that space. So it's just, unnecessary stress.
So why did you pick maths lead? Is it something that you were strong with, or is it?
A funny thing is, maths was always my strong point in school.
Okay.
I was humanities lead first.
Okay.
So responsible for history, geography, RE. I did that for about 4 years. Okay. And then my head teacher said, look, humanities is in a great place. How about you apply for maths lead? I thought, okay, why not?
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, I love it though.
Yeah, maths?
Yeah, definitely love maths.
What we're going to do, we're going to go to another part of the show. It's called rapid fire.
Okay.
It's not rapid at all. So it's either pick a choice or a yes or no.
Okay.
All right. So for our first question, do you think standardized testing is an assessment of memory rather than understanding?
Memory.
Okay. All right.
Memory. That was a quick one, right? I'm thinking memory. Yeah.
All right. So for our second question, in your opinion, what do you feel keeps a child's appetite for learning? Nature exploration or indoor structure activities?
Oh. Is this just choice? This is a choice question,
Yeah,
right?
which one?
Oh man, that's such a tough one. And I have to just pick one.
Yeah, pick a choice.
How did you give me these choices? I'm going to say nature.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why?
I'm a bit shaky on that one.
Right.
I think structure works for some pupils.
Right.
Other pupils work better with free flow.
Okay.
And as an adult, a lot of us, some people stick to structure, some people don't. They like the free flow things. And every pupil has different needs. But I think with nature, it's their environment. So they get to be one environment, they get to explore their environment, probably have a better interest.
Okay.
Excite them more.
Okay. Makes sense.
That was a hard one, though. Definitely a hard one.
All right. Our third and final question. As your job requires you to keep up with the energy of a child, what best prepares you for this? Whole body workouts or mental activities such as Sudoku?
Oh. I'm going to say mental workouts. Yeah. Like if you're not in the correct headspace, it becomes very difficult to do anything physical, so I generally believe.
Okay.
So I start my school days with prayer. I read my Bible. That keeps me going.
Okay, so the mental side.
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely mental side.
Okay, all right, cool. So for our final questions, in your opinion, what do you think your biggest contribution in terms of helping society within your profession?
As a teacher, I'm helping to raise the next generation. Specifically within my role as a DI lead, I'm really amplifying the voices of all different pupils, providing that platform for them to share their identities, to be comfortable with their identities, and to embrace each other's identities and cultures, which is going to help them later on as adults, mingling with other people.
Okay, so as you said, a DI lead, what would that kind of encompass in a sense?
So DI stands for Diversity, Equity and Inclusion Lead.
Yeah.
The heart of my role is making sure that all pupils, regardless of their backgrounds, be it faith, religion, culture, needs, all of their voices are heard and they're seen. So, yeah, that's a big chunk of my role.
Right. And how would you do this? What is the kind of plan or around?
Yeah, it's a bit of a tough one. So there's elements of policy involved. So what policies do we have as a school to protect the different characteristics? Or how do I train staff to know how to deal with pupils? What in our curriculum can our pupils see themselves in what they're learning? How we train our pupils to have conversations with one another, to respect each other's viewpoints. So yeah, very different. It just really varies. Examples, I worked with the Borough of Hackney to create a curriculum that amplifies Black British history.
Oh, okay.
So I created a unit of work celebrating the Windrush generation and their contribution to Britain today. We had some refugees from Afghanistan join our school last academic year. So it was about what we do as a school community to make them feel welcome within our school. So those are just some examples of things I've done as DEI lead.
Okay. Oh, that's amazing to make
Thank
everyone
you.
feel it
Yeah,
is,
yeah,
and
yeah.
it's definitely needed, especially in the time that we are in now.
Absolutely.
So yeah, no,
Absolutely.
it's amazing work that you're doing.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And do you see your profession progressing in any way? I don't know. It could be more responsibilities, or more status, or more pay.
For me personally, or the profession on a wider scale?
You personally, and as a primary school teacher, on a wider scale.
For myself personally, I really enjoy where I'm at.
Okay.
So for my next step would be something like assistant head, deputy head.
Okay.
Maybe deputy head, headship.
Right.
I'm in no rush to get there.
Right.
I'm young. I've been in teaching for a while, but I still have a lot to learn.
Right.
I know the moment that I step into those roles, I almost minimize my contact in the classroom, and that's where I have most of my inspiration comes from being in the classroom. So I'm in no rush to get there, but that is an end goal. On a wider scale, teachers just need to be valued more. Funding's been cut across. Teachers are education is really being affected at the moment with funding being cut. So head teachers are really having to think through, what does this look like for our school, supporting pupils. So in terms of progression, is more what can we do to support schools. I've heard of many staff members who have left the teaching profession to go and work somewhere else, like Sainsbury's or other retail jobs, because they earn more.
Really?
Yeah, they earn more that way as opposed to working as, let's say, a teaching assistant. And I think that's that is insane.
Yeah.
That somebody's had to probably leave something that they're passionate about because
They're not earning
they can't maintain that lifestyle that they live in. Yeah.
Okay, so do you feel that there'll be more kind of emphasis on doing more for teachers and in that sector, the education sector?
Absolutely. At the moment, unions are doing a lot of work to amplify that there needs to be more funding in teaching. So I think there is a push on it at the moment. It's just about whether the members in Parliament and government are really going to listen.
Right, fair enough. How long has this been going on for? A while? Is
For a
it
while.
getting worse, steadily getting worse, or?
Steadily getting worse, but I think the impact after COVID as well
Right, yeah.
definitely had an impact because we were teaching throughout COVID.
Okay.
The teachers were still going into schools because you got to think about children whose parents are key workers. They need to be somewhere, right? So teachers were still working through that, and then they froze their pay. The government froze pay, yeah? They put a freeze on pay. And there's pay scales in teaching. So they put a freeze on that. And then you've cut the funding. Ridiculous. All within a short space of time.
Wow.
Yeah. So it is definitely having an impact. And some schools, depending on the borough that you're in as well, some schools are greatly more affected than others. But as a whole, education is suffering at the moment in England.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
at all.
it's insane. Absolutely insane.
Okay. Do you think there's anything missing in your profession? So, apart from the pay, obviously, that's missing. But do you think there's anything missing in your profession at all?
Good question. I'm going to say the first thing that came off my mind. Black male teachers, especially in primary school. The impact that they have is amazing. Absolutely amazing. I just wish there were more black male teachers in primary schools specifically.
So have you seen the difference that the black male teachers, once they're in the school, have made to the students?
Yeah, so I don't necessarily have any in my school.
Right.
Okay. But we have a learner mentor who is black male. He's fantastic. Right. The kids love him. He's gentle. Just how he gets on with them is amazing. It helps the black boys to see somebody that I look up to. Yeah. Because I see how the girls look up to me, and I wonder how much more the boys need that themselves. Already in primary schools is more heavily female based, but teachers, you get more female teachers as opposed to male teachers. But black male teachers, that's the one I'm really pushing for to see in the profession.
Okay. Oh, that's I didn't know that. I didn't think about that.
So if you ever think about becoming a teacher, there's room for you here. Okay? Definitely room for you in the primary sector.
Yeah, so it's been an absolute pleasure meeting you, understanding about your role as a primary school teacher and the profession itself. Is there anywhere to find more information about yourself and you know, if someone wants to get in contact with you, is there any way they can?
Active mostly on Twitter.
Oh, okay.
Or you can find me on LinkedIn.
LinkedIn. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Those are the two best places to find me in terms of education side of things.
Okay. Well, again, it's been a pleasure, and thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Anytime. And thank you for watching.